good has got no end. I've always loved that phrase, even though spell check is telling me it's not grammatically correct. To me, it's a way to live your life. If you are continually looking to improve the community you live in, are thankful for what you have, and help those in need because you can, not because you're looking for recognition or praise, that is doing good has got no end. Roger here. Thanks for joining us for the latest episode of Inside Connect and Simplify. At the Benefit Companies, our goal is to improve the lives of our clients who are in need and to help them succeed. Most often we do that through improved processes, our incredible depth of knowledge and experience in our disciplines, excellent customer service, and the satisfaction of solving problems. Today, my guest is all about helping others succeed. You know, doing good has got no end. And trust me, it's not like he had an easy path. Meet Michael Haas, Executive Director of Ebenezer Stone Ministries, creator of Empower MKE, husband, father, one of the most connected guys I know, and just a really nice guy. Michael, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with Empower MKE, which came out of your real life experiences. Talk about life before Empower MKE became a reality.
So Empower MKE is designed off of my life. And so as a young person, I got into a lot of trouble. My family life was okay. My dad was a military contractor, an engineer, aerospace engineer. My mom was a playwright. I had 3 sisters. And I just chose the path that was troubling. And here in Waukesha County, was sentenced to 10 years in a penitentiary. And I did a lot of that time. I did Racine Correctional. I went out of state, Tennessee, Oklahoma. I spent a year and a half solitary confinement. I've seen multiple riots. But it wasn't until I was in solitary confinement when I made a promise, because I'm a very religious individual. I made a promise to God that if I were to get out of this situation, I would dedicate my life to helping young adults. And so, you know, he doesn't move fast, but he moved. And I got out and designed a program for Waukesha County. This is like 2001. Invited a bunch of people. Brad Schimmel showed up. Designed this program with my wife, implemented this educational program that allowed youth to not make the same choices that I made. And then if they earned it over 14 weeks, the district attorney's office would not prosecute. So it was a pre-charging, which is awesome because then it saves, you know, the public from seeing the record, keeps them off of CCAP. Felony reduced down to misdemeanor goes away. If they're already charged. And so that program ran for a long time. And I'm trying to think of when I moved it to Milwaukee. It ended in Waukesha in 2016. I moved it to Milwaukee in 2019. The coolest thing about the Waukesha program was that it was inside the Waukesha County Courthouse. But my sentencing judge, so my sentencing DA and my sentencing judge, who was retired, the DA was now a judge. And so going back into the same court that I sat in as a defendant, but sitting on the other table and listening to that judge say, Mr. Haas sat at both sides of the table, was pretty cool. And then I got to meet my judge, who had retired, gave me a donation check. And so just having those things happen in my life and then seeing this progression happen. My graduate is actually a police officer in the town of Brookfield. Pretty cool. And so, you know, Empower it was named differently back in the day. I rebranded it, put a different name on it. Now it's in Milwaukee County, and it's awesome.
So you're gleaning over some of the coolest parts of that whole story. So I'm going to go back to a couple of parts of that to dig in a little bit. So this is local. It started local. And at this point, we are still in Wisconsin, or are we going bigger than that?
Nope. So we are Waukesha cases, Milwaukee cases.
Okay. Yep. And is there plan? What's the master plan to grow? Is it growing? This is where we're staying? What's the goal?
It's growing. And so because of COVID, we actually design these things that are called barbershop talks. I've designed them with a officer from District 3 Police Department. And it was designed like right after the Sherman Park, just all of the stuff that's happening in the neighborhoods, the community divides. And I thought, man, how cool would it be since we have this diversion program, because that's technically what it is. And we involve the parents and we involve these youth. Why not involve the police departments and the community to cut that racial tension or any kind of tension that is. So barbershops came out. We partnered with the Milwaukee Police Department, which is now one of our official partners. And we have been going strong on these barbershops with District 2, District 3, District 7, and District 1, and now District 5. And the conversations that happen in these barbershops with these youth, and then you have the stylists, and then you have the officers telling their stories, and then you have these captains. It's awesome because it's yes, they're in uniform, but they have lives. They talk about how they grew up. The youth then get to ask the questions. And so we've had these barbershops, but I've never seen a beauty shop. So I did one. And so we did one on the south side and we did one on the north side for these young ladies. And amazing. The officers come, the sheriff's department's involved in it, and just the conversation. Sometimes we have guest speakers. We had an author named Wendell who came in from Chicago, a good friend of mine, and he told his story. We've had Aldira come in from Americans for Prosperity tell her story. And it's just amazing to see this. And so that's a part of what empowered us.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you gleaned over again one real quick success story about one of the guys who's now an officer. I want you to think about one or two maybe more examples of that. But you mentioned youth and you haven't really quantified what that means. So when you're talking about this program, what's the age group? Who are you targeting to help?
So we target 17 to 25 year olds. So Milwaukee County has identified 17 to 25 to be the target range of young people that are getting into trouble. And so when we talk about that, we talk about auto thefts, batteries, disorderly conducts, some domestic related. We talk about maybe the possession, some of those crimes, maybe some drug offenses, because I've had some of those. Waukesha County is kind of the same. We do go a little bit younger. But in Milwaukee County, I want to go younger because we see the 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds following suit. And so keeping those young people out of the backseat of a squad car or even involved in the criminal justice system is ideally the goal. So to answer your question, like 10 to 25.
All right. So you mentioned partners. You said Milwaukee County. Did I hear that right?
So the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department.
Okay. And who else partners with you in endeavor?
We have the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. The Milwaukee Police Department has been amazing to us. We have Wendell, who's the author. The Devil Thought He Had Me is one of our partners. The Way Out organization, one of our partners. God Touch. We have a really good relationship with the Milwaukee County DA's office, with Waukesha County DA's office. And I'm sure I'm missing something.
You are, but that's a pretty good group of contacts, and certainly they're all connected. I mean, it makes sense. And Milwaukee County DA and the sheriff and the PD all working together on this. Obviously, it has a bigger impact on what's going on. So let's go back again. You said you had a success story of one of your guys who's actually now a police officer. So I don't know if you want to expand on that one or give me some examples of other kids who had some challenges and now are winning on the other end.
So I can think back to a lot of them are older right now. I have some older success stories and some newer success stories. Some of the older ones. There's a young lady out of Brookfield. She came to me from Brookfield Central High School. She came through session like number 3, number 4 when we first started. And, just really, really grounded individual, just made a stupid mistake. Police got her. She came to me. I had her for 16 weeks. She actually interned for me. And then now, following her, I see her married. And she is now one of the designers for the new Ford Bronco for Ford. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
right?
Wow, okay.
I have the other one who came to me. I knew the whole entire family. Came to me on I think it was a possession charge, and completed the program, had his head on his shoulders, and I saw him get married. I know that he has kids and now works for the town of Brookfield. And so following him and seeing him and seeing the amazing things that he's doing. And then I know that there's another graduate. I have two. One is a U.S. Marshal, and the other one is, what does he do? No, it's a young lady. She came to me on a drug charge and now is in the Army. She left for the Army, came back, and now is decorated. And I haven't reached out to her. I haven't seen her, but I've followed her path. And so, for the first year, we had, a couple hundred kids. And so I do run into them time to time. I have ones that reach out to me and be like, hey, you changed my life. I didn't change your life. I gave you the tools to do it, but you're the one that did it. And so, ones that are married, that have families. Another one that works down the road at a car dealership that I talked to, he actually sits on my board of directors. And so not only is he a graduate, but he's also technically one of my bosses. So
Didn't
it's
expect to see that, did you?
Right? No, I didn't. But all these young people they're doing what they need. A newer success story just came out. He graduated 6 months ago. Had these two charges out of Waukesha, and we talk about expungement, right? And he earned his gift. So he got his real estate license. He completed the program. He stayed out of trouble. He worked. He volunteered. He snowplowed our lot. We went into the court just in July, actually. And the judge gave him a huge gift and said, hey, I know this program well. I know Mr. Haas. I've seen his program spawn here. And so she gave him the set amount of time, but also the gift of expungement if he completes it. And so, here's a young individual in his 20s that when he completes his sentence can go back in front of the same judge, have it all done, and then ultimately become a real estate agent. And so that's huge.
How do you... We could go all day on these
Absolutely.
sidebar questions.
Yep.
I'm going to try to temper my excitement there. So how do you get the judges to buy in? Was it a success story that finally got that started, or how did that all play out?
A lot of the judges, when you look at judges in either county, right? They want people that, yes, people have made a mistake, but it's all about what you do. It's all about your character, and it's all about what you do that says, hey, I've done all these things. I recognize I've made a mistake, but I've done A, I've done B, I've done C, I've done D. And then, the prosecutors have you on paper, but it's your opportunity to show that you're not this pile of paper, you're this individual. And so, the proof is in the pudding. If you honestly, have made a mistake and this is what you want to do, these are the things that you do. You do as much education, as much volunteering, you get invested in your future. You don't look 3 years, you look 5 years. You do these things, and the judge goes, wow, this is that person. And so basically you're pitching yourself to the judge. And so I think judges like it because it's educational. They know that if you come back, they've got you. But you learn so much. Like inside of this program, you learn about behavioral change, job skills, there's gang education, there's drug education, there's financial awareness, there's judicial system review where you learn about the law, you have to do a PowerPoint. There is a mental health component, there's a family component, and it's an entire circle. And then when you graduate, it is, we watch you, we get you plugged into a job, and then you go in front of the judge. And so you've done all these things. And hopefully it resonates from somebody that has been down that same path. So instead of going this way, we're going to get you this way. And so you stay on this way. This is the ultimate outcome. And so there's restorative justice in there too. So we're doing the whole gamut for the court system.
And I suppose the judges if they have an opportunity to go one way or the other, they'd rather give the person who's making an effort a chance to make it right and go live their life, which is cool. Any idea how many people have come through this program? Is there a number on that?
Okay. It's I have no idea. And, it's always been, I don't want the number. So my wife says, man, you talk to everybody. Yeah, I do. Because everybody has a story. Everybody maybe has a struggle. And I don't do it without my wife. And so, my wife is a huge part of this because she has followed that path with me when I was incarcerated. And she has an amazing story to tell. And we run into people everywhere, like moms and dads or brothers and sisters that are like, oh yeah, I remember you, you helped out my brother. And I'm like, great, what's he doing now? I have no idea. I just keep on going and not care about the number.
Fair enough. So one other thing that kind of jumped into my head is you said a couple of times already, somebody came to you this way or came to you that way. So how does that even happen that they end up getting to meet you and learn about the program? Somebody's got to show them the way to get to you. What's that about?
So I do a lot with private bar attorneys. I am not a media person. And so referrals by business cards. I do a lot of school speeches. I'm really, really heavy into one high school in particular. I do a lot of community events, a lot of partnerships. But the idea, honestly, is this. The police department has been amazing. And so the police department, actually, they're the ones that are in the neighborhood that know the youth. Especially this is Milwaukee County. How cool would it be for the police department or the police officer to say, look, you're in cuffs, you're in the back of my squad, but here's an opportunity for you to do something and hand them one of our business cards. Right. And so they're still going through the process. Mm-hmm. But again, it's still that opportunity that when that young person is in court and remembers that card and then makes that phone call, the ultimate goal is to help that young person change his life. And so the police officers hand out the business cards, and we do a ton of events. And so there's like thousands of business cards over by. I put them up everywhere, and people call me out of the blue. We met with somebody from the U.S. State's Attorney's Office to talk about doing some stuff federally. Which is really, really cool because we know that those people coming out, they're stock. And then they either go back in and they're really trying to change the element. Yes, you can have a record and be successful. And they say, well, how you, because I did it. And so I have, my oldest son is here. I have a younger one. I have a house. I've got 2 cars. I got a couple successful businesses and a huge friend network. But, ultimately, God has blessed us with this opportunity. So
nice.
Yeah.
So if folks want to learn more, I mean, we can't do anything but tell them where to go at this point. Sure. And certainly when we post this podcast, Michael, we'll get this information out if you want. But right now, tell them how to find you, how to find Empower MKE, and what is it that they can expect if they want to reach out to you.
Sure. One of the things is everybody knows somebody that's been in trouble with the law, right? And so no family or no person should feel alone that if they know somebody that's involved or being involved, those are people that we can help, right? And so that's either in Waukesha or Milwaukee. I would love to get into Racine and Kenosha, but if they're fighting a court case and they're, it's just too much, this is what we do. And so they can find me, empower.mke is our Facebook. We have a Yahoo email address. It is empower.mke@yahoo.com. Or simply they can just call me. Phone number is 414-388-0652.
Say that number again.
Sure. 414-388-0652.
Okay, so that we just spent some time talking about Empower. So that's one thing you got going on. You've got lots going on, and we're not going to talk about everything because we only have a couple of days. No, we only have a certain amount of time. But I do want to talk about how I got to know you because that's all about Ebenezer Stone Ministries, and that's how we actually started conversation whenever we started that year or two back. So What is Ebenezer Stone Ministries, and how did you get involved with that? Where did that start?
Sure. So, ironically, when we talk about empowerment, we talk about Ebenezer. Ebenezer's is dead in the middle of the same neighborhood that I used to run in, because I was pretty heavily gang involved. And so they are smallly connected, but yes, two separate entities. Ebenezer we were sitting in church, my wife and I, and we knew that a new pastor was coming. I think it was Pastor Wood at that time. And it was during a snowstorm. We drove down there on a whim. I think my wife was pregnant at the time. And Pastor Wood was outside shoveling, and I had a shovel in my trunk, and I had a pair of Crocs on, and I hopped out and I started shoveling. And it was just one of those experiences where you just come in, you say, hey, how you doing? You shovel. And then it wasn't until like a couple years later, I think, Peg was there. There was a calling for an executive director. It just wasn't the time for me. And then there was another calling for an executive director, and it was that time. And I went for it. And it was just like it was a tug to be here to do this and to serve the community ultimately, where either I raised ruckus, and I knew some of the families. I knew the South Side pretty well. And then those partners, Marty Calderon and I have known each other for years. And just to have all this relationship, Ebenezer, God placed me there, and I haven't looked back.
So we're going to sidebar for a second, because like I mentioned to you, I've met Marty.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with what he does too. Let's do a 1-minute commercial for Marty and the work he's doing at God Touch. So talk about that.
Yeah, Marty Calderon, God Touch Milwaukee. That man, he has the gift of transforming people. So he has, I think, a couple of residences down there, 17th and Lincoln, 16th and Lincoln. He has a church that's on the corner of 17th and Lincoln with a huge parking lot. Does a ton of ministries. Is from the neighborhood. Has walked the neighborhood at nights. Never gang involved, but always went to the people that were gang involved and talked to them, ministered to them. The man is genuine. He a loving individual. There's something special about that guy, and it's natural that we would partner with him. He takes people that were addicted to drugs or narcotics, and he puts them up in housing, and they have to work, and they have to follow this rigorous structure, and it's all faith-based. And it's amazing to see some of these transformations of these men that they just click, and just to see God's love resonating, and what Marty Calderon is doing is amazing. So if you have the opportunity to meet or reach out to him or see his building, God Touch Milwaukee, awesome place.
So thanks for that commercial.
You're welcome.
I know Marty does great stuff.
Yep.
I don't have a lot of experience with him, but I've followed what he's been doing. So back to Ebenezer,
yes.
You go, okay, so there's an opening here, and you felt like you were getting pulled there. What kind of experience do you have coming into this job? I don't read your past experience being executive director, no offense, but that's not what I see. So how did that play out? How did you win on that?
Also, I was the creator and executive director of the first diversion program. So I knew I have been highly trained by my mother-in-law, right? And my mother-in-law is an amazing woman who, if I said her name, people would be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And she instilled in me, I have a ton of mentors, but she's number one. And I've always loved non-for-profit. As in my wife would say, you can't have a boss, because I kept on either getting fired or walking away, or I was unhappy, or, it just didn't make sense. And I'm a pretty challenging individual. And so non-for-profit was what I chose. And my wife is a huge part in that. Manna has been great. She kind of grounds me. My kids are great because they want me home all the time. But non-for-profit is just where I'm at. And Ebenezer fit that mold.
So let's define for everybody what it is that goes on at Ebenezer. What do you do in the community to help the folks there? And talk a little bit, too, about how you were really one of the last oases standing during this last year and a half when COVID came around.
Yeah.
Because some of the other places couldn't sustain during that time. So what do you do, and how did you get through this last year and a half?
So when I took over Ebenezer 2.5 years ago, it was it's great organization. It just was a food pantry. It had a hot meal program, or a lunch program, a breakfast program, and I think it was sustainable. And then when I came in, there's so much more we could do, and so trying to strategically figure out where our funding came from, where our numbers were, the population served, the grant process, and then the volunteer staff. And so, I always like a challenge. So, and I have to give a huge shout out to Robin Paltowitz. And so Robin has been my right hand for a while, and she does a tremendous amount for me. And so when we sit down and we talk about the programs at Ebenezer, there is a food pantry that supplies food for certain zip codes, but honestly, we feed everybody. We have a bag lunch program on Wednesdays that feeds about 180 bag lunches every Wednesday. And then we have a hot lunch meal program that feeds 360 every Wednesday. Some of those do go to God Touch Milwaukee and they hand them out. And then we have a nurse program. It's like a referral. And so that's kind of new, where people can come in. They can sit down with a nurse and ask free medical advice. They can do a referral process. We do mental health. We will do a little bit of addiction. We do some domestic abuse. We have a great relationship with District 2. And so that's there. And then we also do financial and budget. And, and that is where, hey, I have this amount of money. How do I budget these credit cards? Or how do I budget this? How do I live within my means? How to write a resume? How do we do the interview? Do we need clothes? What jobs are available? We have the internet access. We can print them off for them. And so really trying to change that community into working, sustaining, and giving back. And then it also gives us an opportunity to touch them with the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And then we also do youth basketball. And so that is just basketball in the gym. Anybody can come in. So that it pulls them off of the street, brings them in, where we then can talk a little bit about the crime, the neighborhood, that obviously goes into empower a little bit, and then just relationship building. And so that's Ebenezer. During the pandemic, craziness. And I am a person that does not ever want to shut the door unless I'm on my deathbed. And so Robin and I and a handful of volunteers just did it. We did it. And we never closed down the pantry. We fed more people. We were blessed with volunteers that came in. We were blessed with Hales Corners Lutheran, the congregation helping out. And then we had outside donors. I mean, everybody helped out. I mean, it was awesome. And then, we continued on through Thanksgiving. And then Christmas we did, I don't even remember, like 1,000 families of Christmas gifts. That was with Hales Corners.
Okay.
We bought some, we had some donors, and then all of a sudden, that day, we all got COVID. And so that was Christmas break. So our Christmas break was spent at home, quarantined for 14 days. And so, it was good. It was trying, but the feeding people and just seeing them made a huge difference. We had people from Illinois come up.
So my intel told me that some of the other food pantries and outreach places in Milwaukee weren't working during that time. You were the only one left standing for a while.
We were on the south side, one of two.
And typically there are how many?
Oh, there's probably 20, 25. They're all gone.
Wow. Okay.
Even now, some of them never came back.
So you described this laundry list of things that you do right now. What do you have on your wish list, or what's the plan for down the road that you want to add or enhance? What are you looking to do?
Well, ironically, when we have looked at the plan of Ebenezer and what fits the need, we have this opportunity that we're going to move into an additional building. And so Ebenezer will have 2 buildings. And the idea is that the Ebenezer on 35th Street would maintain the pantry and be a hub for programming. And so all those educational programs will stay there. We can add to them I would love to add a cooking class. I would love to add anything that I think would benefit families. And then building number 2, which is not far away, is a building where we would be an outsource to pantries, the ones that have closed down or the ones that are additional, that could come. And I had this harebrained crazy idea, and it's working. It's table fresh produce. And so it's produce from the ground, produce from wherever it comes from, comes to our building, and then literally hits the table in 24 hours. And so it will also be a warehouse where we clean and rinse the fruit and the vegetables. And then pantries can come and get it and then disperse it out to the community. We have warehouse space where we'll still have product that's there. And so pantries can, again, come and get product and take it. We're going to do hands-on job training. So forklift. We are going to do inventory and supply chain. And so, again, you're training people to do these positions in these jobs. And then we have a classroom upstairs, which will hopefully teach nutrition. And then there'll be a hands-on, like this is what obviously a good apple looks like versus bad. And so that building is coming. Like, we are extremely close to putting that down. And so, that adds more to my plate, which I love. But the option of feeding people in the entire South Side, is, and we have a huge partner in that. I mean, it's an awesome thing to do. It's 13,000 square feet.
So we're not talking, so it's a bigger unit, and it's going to be, I can see the excitement on your face. It's pretty cool, dude.
Thanks.
So you can't mention the one partner, but talk about some of the other partners maybe you haven't already mentioned. When we were talking about Empower, you had a laundry list. Are there some other ones then on this side of what you do that we need to hear about?
So there is, obviously Feeding America is there. We will have Chris Donahoe, who's a really good friend of mine and has been heavily involved in Ebenezer. He'll be there. We have Link Milwaukee. We're going to reach out to them to see if they need some additional space that's there. We will have hopefully a representative from Feeding America be in that building. And so that is the coordination of the nutrition programs, because they have a ton of resources and a ton of educational programs. God Touch Milwaukee, be one of our partners there. We will supply whatever we need to that organization. Hope Street, which is on the north side, has continued to be one of our partners. We provide them with a bunch of things. Great ladies over there doing some amazing things. Hales Corners Lutheran Church, obviously, will be one of our partners. Martin Luther High School is one of our partners by providing the volunteers, the educational component for those youth so that they can graduate. Muskego High School is there. Anybody that volunteers there, I think there's a hockey team that's in that mix from Muskego. So
we're reaching out all over the South Side.
Yeah.
And West even, yeah. What are you most in need of? I mean, we've talked about this new building.
Yep.
Okay, so that's hopefully coming. And we've talked about donations and volunteers, but tell us what is it that would help?
So right now we are looking for racking systems. Is huge. We need a walk-in cooler. And so anybody that has knows of a restaurant that has closed its doors, we would have to purchase the walk-in cooler or walk-in freezer. There is some computers that we need. There is some wash basins that we need for washing the fruits and the vegetables. We do need a forklift or a pallet jack. There is, at the end of the day also too, there's, financial. If they just want to financially support Ebenezer, so that we can go out and purchase what we need. That's huge too. And our doors are always open. And so one of the things that I love to see is having people just come and see what we do, because Ebenezer is all about those volunteers. And a lot of people are like, Mike, hey, you've done this. It's not me. It's everybody as a network. The volunteers, that blood, sweat, and tears. It's Robin. It's her husband, Ken. There's so many people that make Ebenezer. And, I'm blessed to work with them every day. So
if I was to walk in these folks don't know where you are. I know where you are. Tell everybody where you're located, and then do the commercial with all the contact info too. Tell us how we find you.
So the Ebenezer location is 1127 South 35th Street. It's on the corner. You go around the back. There's a big sign that says Ebenezer. And so that's where all of our programming in the pantry is right now. The new building is on Bruce Street. I'm not sure of the address, but I will announce that as soon as I can. We do have a website. It is www.esmmke.org. And on there has all of the information. My phone number is on there, which is 414-388-0652. Again, that's 414-388-0652. My email address is on there as well. And they can reach out to me, or they can call me, they can text me. I don't do Snapchat.
Okay. So we've talked about all of these things that you're involved in, but you also mentioned Amanda and the kids.
Yeah.
And you have a personal life, I think. I remember you telling me one time you actually spent a week up north somewhere. Yeah. So what do you do when you actually do have a minute?
So it's a lot of it is Amanda. She's walked the walk with me. We've gone through a ton of trials and tribulations, and I'm starting to tear up a little bit only because we've been through so much. But we were blessed with, 2 kids. And so I have Miles, who's 6, Caden, who's here, who's 12. They're at Hales Corners Lutheran. And watching them grow up and do sports is important. I do a lot of stuff at Martin Lutheran. I try to get them. But my chill time is just, maybe it's a swimming lesson or something in the backyard, or, we like to go places. We went to Madison this weekend. That was kind of fun. Or just chilling out at home, the simple bonfire with a s'more or a movie or a video. I like to go to the gym and lift weights when I can, but it's just loving on my family is what I like to do.
It's obvious you're driven to help others. So why is that? How would you summarize what you get out of what you do?
It's internal happiness. One of the things is, it's that one promise that I made to always help others. And so I have a tremendous amount of faith that no matter what God has put in front of me, He'll take care of me and my family. And, there have been situations that I know for a fact that I could talk about right now that I know that He was in it. And so, just being a servant to Him and following His path, which is hard. And it's what do I get out of it? I get out of seeing my boys helping others, which puts a smile on my face. It's my wife being engaged and seeing her grow personally, and then coming out of her shell, me supporting her supporting myself. And just the smiles and affecting other people's family. It's almost undescribable when you see a person who says thank you, and it's just you've done something small and simple, and you're fiend to do more and do more. That's how I live my life.
All right, so this has been an interesting conversation to learn about what's going on. And Sure. You talked about helping a lot of folks, and you talked about life, and it's not easy, and I understand. I'm raising my hand almost every time you're going, yeah, this is a challenge, whatever. I get that. But along the way, and it's happened, I think, at every place I've ever worked, something funny must have happened. There must have been one story is like, I can't believe we just did that. I can't believe something like that happened. Holy cow. Do you have a funny story about something that happened along the way that you're like, well, that's interesting? I should tell people.
I guess one of the things is, personally, Amanda and I always had this dream of owning a house. We had a really good realtor, Laura Shield, and we had struggled for so long to do this stuff. And the church, Hales Corners, Pastor Speaks, helped us out with one of the church houses. And I don't know how this happened, but everything played out perfectly. July of a year ago. We put an offer in house. Several house shopping is horrible, but there's one house we went through and liked it. Literally put an offer in, and like 3 hours later, it was ours. And it was like, I don't know how many houses we looked at, and it's just this one. It's in this perfect neighborhood, and everything that my kids wanted. It was close to Ebenezer. It was close to MPD, and that's where we are. And I have no idea how it happened. I'm not going to question them at all. I'm just going to live in the house. My wife is happy. My kids are happy. My dog's happy. I've got no complaints. So, and I can walk to work if I need to. So I mean that's crazy. That's one of those crazy stories.
So hopefully today we've gotten some folks to listen in to your story and learn about Empower at MKE and learn about Ebenezer. And I want you to take a minute and do a commercial for each one. So tell us, again, this is Empower MKE and this is what we do. And this is Ebenezer and this is what we do. And put a commercial out there as to why folks might want to consider learning more and getting involved. So do that.
All right. So Empower MKE, diversion program for young adults and their families. This is an organization that helps families, young adults, stay out of the criminal justice system or help them navigate that criminal justice system and to learn about thoughts, behaviors, long-term consequences. We also do re-entry. And so if you know somebody that's involved in the criminal justice system or that has a pending case, whether they have an attorney or not, makes no difference. Please reach out and contact us because we can help. 414-388-0652. Waukesha, Milwaukee County. We're in both courthouses. Ebenezer Stone Ministries. Non-for-profit food pantry educational programs for the south side of Milwaukee. We really need volunteers. If you want to get invested in that, run a program down there, or just have a group come down there and help us sort and maybe tell some stories. Ebenezer Stone Ministries, 1127 South 35th Street, www.esmmke.org. All the information is on there.
There's one other thing I guess we should mention. You talked about volunteers and giving of time, but you actually have a really fun one going on this summer connected with the Brewers that folks probably should think about. Even if they don't want to come down and work at the actual building, but they want to donate some time, this would be one way to do it. Talk about that concession stand thing. Yeah,
so that came to us by one of our board members, Mike Tracy. And it is this opportunity to work with NPO, the Brewers. I think NPO is the organization that does all the food. They somehow came in contact with Mike, and we can run concession stands at the Brewers games. And I believe at Fiserv when basketball kicks off. But we have this awesome opportunity to sell food, talk to people, and then we get a proceed of the sales, and then we also get all the tips. And so that's been awesome. We have six more games, I think. All that information is on our website, www.esmmke.org. There's a sign-up genius. There you can sign up for the game. I think I'm going to be at the next couple. I have a blast. I love it. And then we have something else coming up. We have Maddie's.
Well, by the time this actually airs, that one's going to be over. Okay. But another thing that, it's good to shout out to Maddie's because those guys do some amazing work with their community space. Yep. So talk about it anyway. Go ahead. Yeah, so Maddie's has opened up, I think that's the door that you opened. Maddie's has opened this door to the backyard. There's your band plays. There is a beer tent. There is food over from the grill. And it's just an awesome opportunity to talk about Ebenezer, talk about Hale's Corner, what's going on at Ebenezer. This is, I think, our second time.
And it's just, a cool thing to get caught up, listen to great music, have a couple of drinks, bring out your kids, support not only Ebenezer, but a local business. Matt from Ebenezer has been great, and his entire staff. It's an amazing place. It's close. It's quick. Take food, leave, or stay and enjoy. So huge shout out to that restaurant.
They do that all during the summer
Yep.
long in the backyard, and a slice of whatever is sold that day goes to the nonprofit, which is a great way to do it. And it's fun for us. So
it's amazing. So, yeah.
All right. We talked about a ton of stuff. Is there anything else that was on your list of things you wanted to talk about? Maybe we didn't get to. Anything else we need to shout out to?
There's a ton of people that are a part of both organizations. I can't mention all of the partners because there's just so many, but just a genuine thank you to the people that have supported, that have invested, and that continue to invest in the future of each Empower and Ebenezer. The door is open. As many people as we can help, this is what we're here for.
Thanks for being here today, Michael.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Thank you for doing what you do, for using your talents and gifts like you do.
Amen.
And like I said, doing good, because doing good's got no end. So keep doing good.
All righty.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Connect and Simplify. Be well. Find our podcast, Inside Connect and Simplify, in all of the following places, so you can listen anytime, anywhere. Go to connectandsimplify.com/podcast to find our entire library of podcasts. Also find us on Alexa, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Listen Notes, Google Podcasts, Pandora, and Podbean. Thanks for listening.